Yeah. So welcome to the sixth session of BW4 HANA online training. Yesterday we saw the introduction of BW4 HANA. We saw the LSA++, what is the flow and how it looks like. What are the different layers in LSA++. Then we saw the objects in BW4 HANA and the purpose for those objects. Like we have two objects for persistent load, like persistent data, and two objects for virtual access. Then we also saw the BI content, standard content, how it looks like, what is the parallel flow, the staging ADSO, and then the standard ADSO or the data mart ADSO going to the integrated data warehousing layer. So we looked at that. Then we also discussed the old versus new objects in BW4 HANA, what has been replaced by what. And we also finally ended with a little bit of an introduction into logistics cockpit, which is still relevant, very much relevant for S4 HANA and BW4 HANA. And I also gave some important links to keep it handy. So yesterday I didn't show you the links, so let me quickly show you. So this is the BW4 HANA help portal where you can find the application help, the operations help, the upgrade help, etc. Then this is for simplification list. Simplification list is basically what objects have been replaced by what new objects in BW4 HANA. So if you want to know in one consolidated document, then this is your document, simplification list. It's already there in the materials. So if you go to material, topic material, okay, there is something called BW4 HANA simplification list. So if you open this document, we have for 1.0, we have for 2.0, and we also have an Excel format which will tell you the old object versus new object. So let me quickly show you that particular PDF for 2.0. So this simplification list you should access whenever you want to know what objects have been replaced by which object. Okay, so here you can see InfoSpoke, InfoCube, these objects are gone. InfoCube has been replaced by ADSOs. Okay, InfoSpoke is already replaced by Open Hubs. And then we have, yeah. So add-ons, Accelerator is no more there. It has been replaced by SAP HANA. BI add-on for SAP GUI is not there, replaced by modeling tools, which is Eclipse-based editor. Okay, then you have data store object classic replaced by data store object advanced, InfoCubes replaced by DSO advanced, InfoSets by composite provider, virtual providers by OpenODS views or HANA CVs used directly in composite providers, multi-providers with composite provider, hybrid providers with ADSO, aggregates, there are no more aggregates anymore. SPO is replaced by semantic grouping. We already discussed this last class yesterday, but a consolidated list of even going into further details. Okay, this is your document, simplification list. DTP with PS error stack is DTP with DTIS, intermediate storage, so on and so forth. So you can go through this. This is a comprehensive list. It excuse me, it will tell you both the database workbench objects and the reporting objects, what has been replaced by which one, and it will also give you the SAP note if you want to check the further details. Then there's an SAP note there. And the third link is for no, this is BW4 HANA. So SAP site for simplification. Okay, so this is basically a web browser. The SAP has also given a web browser where you can just type the particular object name and then you will receive the information with SAP notes and everything. So it's basically a navigation on the web. Okay, you will need an S user ID to do this. I think my S user ID is not working. Let's see. I tried yesterday, but yeah, there is some issue. Okay, but if you go to this particular website, then you can browse the different objects and what has been replaced or what object has replaced that particular object. So it's a, and there's an Excel sheet format which I gave that also you can refer, which is also a convenient way to find out that which object has been replaced by what. So as you can see here, simplification items, info objects, DSO classic has been replaced. So there is a note on there. You can filter with headers like staging or warehousing or front end tools or general. So accordingly, you will see the different notes for different objects. Okay. All right. So now today we will start the data source activation process. because remember we have two reports. One is sales order details, one is sales item details. Sales order details, we will try to keep it from the standard data source, which is 2LIS11 VHDR, but sales item, later we will source it from the CDS views. Okay, so we are going to create a custom Z CDS view for sales item, but for sales header we'll keep it standard. So we'll have a hybrid model. Hybrid model means one part of the data set, which is the header, is coming from standard. We'll enhance the standard with the baddie, and the second part is coming from a CDS view, and we'll also enhance that CDS view, and finally we'll combine these into an advanced DSO. Okay. All right. So today we will look at, so this is 16th. So today we will look at Hello Cockpit DS activation and Hello Cockpit DS data source enhancement using the RSU5 SAP baddie, SAPI baddie.
Devanshu, when you say like the standard data source, is it ODP data, ODP extractor?
Yes, standard data sources are all released for ODP.
Oh, thank you.
Correct. And we'll see that. So yesterday we looked at the Hello Cockpit. So let me ask maybe Surendra. Surendra, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, Surendra, what was the transaction code to go to Logistics Cockpit and check the extract structures?
So T code RSA5.
No. RSA5 is for the list of all the extractors. I'm talking about Logistics Cockpit customization.
LBWE?
Yes, correct. LBWE. That is the transaction code to access all the extract structures and activate the data source which is connected to that extract structure for logistics application. Okay. So before we jump there, I'll quickly want to, so introduction we saw. Yeah. So this is the process to activate a logistics cockpit data source. So since we are using logistics cockpit, the sales header and sales item, sales header primarily, we will follow this process. So what is the process? The first step is RSA5. These are the T codes, transaction codes, and we'll activate the data source. Then we'll go to RSA6, which is post-processing of the data source. After the activation, we will check, save, and generate the data source. Then we will go to LBWE, which is Hello Cockpit. Okay, and then we will maintain the extract structure. We will maintain data source. We'll activate the delta mechanism. We'll delete setup tables, so on and so forth. Okay. So first step is RSA5. So we are starting from the first step. First step is activate the data source. So if you remember the overall flow, okay, what was the first step? First step is you have to see what are the data sources and you have to activate the data sources based on the requirement. So what was the requirement? Requirement is sales order details and sales item details. So sales order details, we don't have to recreate anything. SAP has already given a standard data source which we are just activating, and we'll be using that. And for item, we will go for CDS views. Okay, so let's do that. So now you have to expand this, and then we'll find 2LIS_11_VAHDR. Okay, so we have that. There you go. This is the data source. So just highlight this data source, and there's a button called Activate Data Source from Content. So click on that. Okay, it says action executed, which is good. So our data source is from the content, it is activated. Next is RSA6. RSA6 is for post processing. Again, expand that and find it here. Yeah, it's there. Now you select that data source and then click on the edit icon, change data source. So you click on the change data source, you will see that we have these many fields in the data source. These are all the fields. This is the text of the field. Direct access, D means the direct access is possible. Delta update is possible. That means this data source can supply delta records. And then you have the selection, hide, inversion field only. So selection means that you can filter when you extract the data, you can pass some filter values for sales document type, for company code, etc. Hide means you don't want to transfer this particular field to your BW. So if you want to hide them, you can hide them. Those fields will not be transferred to BW. Inversion means there will be a -1 multiplication happening, meaning based on the document type, whether it's a debit or a credit, there will be a minus or a plus. So inversions are applicable. And then field only is not checked. So we don't need that field only. So we will just activate this. Nothing is hidden. I just wanted to see if anything is hidden. So in this case, nothing is hidden. So you save it. Okay, and it will come out actually, but you can also do this. So let me go back in. Either you can just save it, or what I do, what I personally prefer is you go to menu, go to data source and generate it once more so that you're 100% sure it is activated properly. Now, so my data source is activated, and I have also done the post processing of data source. RSA 5 and RSA 6 is done. Next, let me quickly check the data. To check the data from the data source, we use the transaction code RSA 3, which is the extractor checker for SAPI based data sources, which is a standard data sources. Okay, so 2LS 11 VHDR. This is a test 110, so it will be multiplied. So that's fine. The update mode I have full, so I can have different update modes. Like I can have full mode, I can have delta modes, I can have initialization of delta, simulation, so on and so forth. But I just want to check all the data, so I'll go for the full mode. I don't want to debug it or no authorization, so I'm not going to check this. I don't want to put any filters. I just want to check how much data is there. So I'll just click on execute. 0 records. I don't have data. How is that possible? Can someone tell me why am I getting 0 records from this data source?
We are
We have to fill
extracting data.
setup table.
Setup tables needs to be filled.
What is setup table?
So each hello extractor has its own setup table, which we have to fill first for full mode.
Okay, so these setup tables are what? Are you talking about VBAK, VBAP? Those tables?
No, MCEX something, right?
Yes, correct. So for people who are not aware, okay, there is a concept of setup tables in logistics cockpit data sources only. Okay, what is that concept? So let me do a new page. So LO cockpit has something called a setup tables. This is only for full loads or initialization load, not for deltas. Please remember this, okay? So this is only used for full loads or your not for delta. Okay. Then we have something called delta queues. In S4HANA and BW4HANA, these are called operational delta queues, ODQs in short. They are used for delta. So only for logistics cockpit data sources, if you want to load a full load, that means everything from the source tables. Okay, remember what is a data source? Data source is a structure and the logic to populate that structure. And logic definitely will take the data from where? From the application tables of S4, standard application tables like VBAP, VBAK, AC Doka, so on and so forth, right? Depending on the module. So if you're doing full load, it will not go to the application tables, which are the standard S4 tables directly. So you are not supposed to touch those tables directly for full or initialization loads. You are supposed to access setup tables, which is an intermediate table, which is a middleman between your application table and your data source, for full or initial loads only. So you have to fill setup tables. Okay. And then once you've done your full loads, your initialization is ready. When you start doing deltas, then you will start using the ODQs, which is a new concept. We will see that later. And the T code is ODQ mon. With this T code, it has replaced RSA7 of the past. So with this T code, you will see that there will be deltas flowing from the queue and using a subscription. So we'll look at that when we will deal with the deltas. But right now, I'm just worried about my full load. Okay, so setup tables have to be filled. How do I fill setup tables?
There are T codes for those setup tables. So for example, for 11, it's OLI 7BW.
Correct. So there are specific T codes for the filling of setup tables for different modules. Okay. And if you want to check the setup tables, okay, what you do is open a session. Excuse me. Open a session and then you go to the transaction code S06 is the table browser. Okay. And there we can check that the setup table is filled or empty. Okay. How do you check the setup table? How do you know the name of the setup table? What is the name? So what you do is you just say star setup and just press F4. Now star setup will bring you all the tables which will end in setup, right? And there are something called MC, then the name of the module, and then underscore the data source. What is the data source? So in our case, so let's filter it further so that we have only setup tables. MC star setup. Press F4. These are the setup tables. Okay. What are we looking for? We are looking for 11 header. Okay. So we'll go 11 VA0 HDR setup. Okay. This is MC. 11 is for our sales. VA is for sales header. Not sales header, but it's the event basically connected to the sales documents, and 0 header setup. So this is the one which we are interested in. So this is the setup table, MC11 VA0 HDR setup. Click on the browser and let's see how many entries are there. 0 entries are there. Because 0 entries are there, the full load of this data source is trying to access the data from this table, not from the actual base tables, which is VBAK for header, right? So let's see if there is any if there is any data first of all in the base table, the main application table. Okay, for sales header documents, the table is VBAK. VBAK. Let's see if we have any data. Yes, we have 55 records there in the sales header. So that means these 55 records should be transferred to this table, setup table, and then my data source can access from this table. Now, as the gentleman mentioned, may I know your name? Who said there are T codes?
Akshay.
Akshay. Okay. So Akshay said that there is a T code to fill the setup table for different modules, right? 11 will have a different T code, 12 will have a different T code, so on and so forth. Okay. So the T code for 11 is OLI. It all starts with OLI, except for the inventory. OLI 7 BW. Okay. Go to that T code. Oh, it says no extract structure active or no BW connected. So it is not allowing me to fill the setup table. Why? What's wrong? Akshay, what's the problem? Or Soresh, what's the problem? Why it's not allowing me?
So you need to go to LBW. You need to check whether it is activated down there or not. If it is not activated,
yeah, I activated right in front of you, right?
No, you just go to LBW.
Okay. LBWE. Okay.
Yeah, it's
11.
explained that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you see that 11 HDR is not active.
HDR.
is not active. Okay, so you think this is the problem?
Yeah,
Okay,
that is inactive. It is showing.
that is inactive. Yes, so it is showing as inactive. Okay, so then let's activate it. Okay, we did RSA 5, we did RSA 6, but we did not activate this. So what we'll do, we'll first do the maintain of extract structure. So when you do maintain, you will see on the left side fields are blue, on the right side fields are black. Okay, blue means it is already a part of your extract structure. On the left hand side, what you see is the extract structure, and on the right hand side, what you see is the communication structure. For logistics cockpit data sources, again, there are two structures. So I'll tell you the difference between the two structures. So we have extract structure, which is the standard set of fields given by SAP by default for that data source. So for 11 VHDR, these are all the fields which are given as a standard out of the box. So if you don't do anything, just activate it. It's a bunch of fields. These are the fields, and you will get these fields by default. On the right hand side, there is a superset. This is a subset on the left hand side. On the right hand side, there is a superset. Superset means if you want additional fields, that means this set of fields does not satisfy requirement. You need few more fields because those fields are required in your either transformation or directly in the report or as part of any requirement. You need the additional fields. You can find as a step number 1, you can find if these fields are already there. This is the field name and this is the structure name. MC VBAC is not a field name. Okay, MC VBAC is a structure name. It's a structure. And you can see all the different structures which are available as part of the header. For header, we have MC VBAC and MC VB UK. Okay, sales document header, and this is sales document header status. So we have two structures, and from both the structures, we have these additional fields like ABDIS, ABHOB, ABHOD, etc. So we have a whole bunch of fields. This is a superset. Okay, so if you want any one of these fields, you just transfer it to your extract structure, and then you can activate the data source and start using it. But if you don't need anything, just click on OK. It will say, do you really want to confirm these entries? Yes, I want to. So step number 1 is done, which is your extract structure. Then you will go for data source. First is maintenance of extract structure. Then you will go for data source. So click on the data source. It will go to the same RSA 6 kind of a screen. Just make sure nothing is hidden. So if you want to hide, you can hide, but I'm just making sure, I transfer all the fields. I click on save. Everything is fine. Now, final thing is update. Okay, I will update the data source notification. Yes, it is fine. Update entries, and it is green. It was yellow before, now it is green. Okay, so that means I have now activated my data source. The extract structure is maintained, the data source is activated, and I have job control also there, which is Q delta. Okay, which is a update method actually, not job control, my bad. Job control is active. Okay, and the method by which I will update my deltas is Q delta. There are 3 types: direct delta, Q delta, and unserialized V3. These are the 3 types of delta methods or update methods. So we have by default Q delta here. I'll tell you the difference between the 3. What is the difference between direct delta, Q, and unserialized V3? But just for the time being, remember that by default it is Q delta. So our data source is active. Okay. So now it should allow me, right, Suresh?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it is again throwing me an error. No extract structure active or no BW connected. So extract structure is active. We just saw it is green now. Data source is active, and BW is definitely connected, right? RFC connection is there. If you want to
So
check,
it-
you can check in
Do we
RM59.
need to repeat it? replicate the data source?
Yeah, we are not talking about BW yet. I want to test this data source in S4.
In RSA6, did we activate that as well, Dipanshu?
Yeah, we did.
Uh,
I'll show you. Yeah, it's active. Okay. If you want to check that, you can check it, but it is active. So extract structure is active. Data source is active. We just saw in LBWE, right? Where is that? There you go. It is active. Then why am I not able to fill my setup table? OLI 7BW.
Devanshu, is this the correct transaction code? Can you just go through SBIW?
It is correct. It is correct. OLI 7BW is for 11. It is correct.
Okay.
yeah, 7 is for sale.
Yeah. Then why this guy is stopping me?
Do you have to delete the setup tables before you insert it? Is that a prerequisite?
That should not be the case. I mean, you can have duplicate.
Yes, you're right. But if that would have been the case, it would say, please delete setup table. There are still entries there, right? Okay. So we saw the setup table, didn't we? How many records are there in setup table? 0. So it is empty. What else can be the problem?
Do we need to activate all the 11 data sources? No.
No.
Do we have to enable ODP?
Okay, that's a good pointer. Enable ODP. So what is that, Akshay?
Yeah.
Okay, so Akshay is saying maybe ODP is not enabled. That's why it's not enabled. Okay, so how do we check whether ODP, which is a new framework which uses the new concept of operational delta queues, is it active for this data source? Let's check it. How do we check it? You go to SE16. There is a table, and that table is called RUS-ATTR. This table will tell you whether the data source is enabled for ODP or not. Okay, so we'll check that. It should have an entry with an X flag. Yes, it has an X flag. So there is an entry in the RUS-ATTR. It is enabled for ODP. Then what is the problem? Anyone?
Devanshu, I think you need to give the target system.
Subscription.
Where?
For-
What target system?
I'm wrong. This is not related to that.
Any subscription we need to create?
Yes.
It's saying no BW connected.
BW is connected. Don't worry. BW is connected. So this is a misleading error. Okay. You have to have an additional step which was not there prior to operational delta queue concept, which was not there prior to ODP. Now you have to do it. Okay. This is what is additional step which I'm going to show you. You have to do when it is ODP enabled data source. What this thing is doing, what OLI 7BW is checking, it is checking is the data source ODP enabled. So it is going to this data table and it is checking that yes, RUS-ATTR has it. So this is an ODP enabled data source. If it is an ODP enabled data source, it goes and checks, is there a subscription already there in the operational delta queue? See, I know it is not relevant because subscriptions are for deltas, but as a part of the new framework, it still needs, even if you are dealing with full loads and setup tables, it still requires a subscription in the queue. If it does not find a subscription in the queue, which queue? The operational delta queue. What is the T code? ODQMon. Okay, this is the new RSA 7 for you guys. Okay, we'll deal with that in detail. Don't worry. For now, let me show you. Is there a queue for 11 header? These are the queues.
No.
There is no queue. So that means the second check which is happening when you are pressing OLI7BW and hitting enter, the background check is happening here in the ODQ. And if it does not find the data source queue here, it does not identify it as relevant for either delta or full, does not matter. You have to have a queue here for the setup table filling program to work. So that means there are two ways you can create a queue here. So when you create a queue, meaning you are creating a subscription, okay, for that queue, then only the queue entry will come here. So there are two ways. Either you replicate the data source in BW and trigger the DTP from BW, which will create a queue here and a subscription here. Okay, that is one way. But right now we are not dealing with delta, so we don't want to do that. We are just testing the full. Without replicating and without triggering the DTP, I should still be able to at least test my data source, right? And this is a full load I'm testing. So that means you have to create a queue here. And there is a T code which is given, there's a program rather. There's a program given by SAP to create a dummy subscription in this particular queue. You have to create a dummy subscription. If you don't want to go to the BW route, then from S4, you have to go to this particular program. So you have to go to SE38 to execute the program. So let's quickly go there. SE38. The program is RSODP REPL something. The program name is
RSO Delta something, right? ODP.
Expose something expose, I think.
Yeah, RODPS REPL test. Okay, this is the program. This program is specifically given for ODP enabled extractors and ODP enabled CDS views to generate or test the subscription. For our case, the context means in ODP, what are you dealing with? Are you dealing with CDS views? Are you dealing with data sources? Or are you dealing with something else? So that is context. In our case, what is the context? Context is data source or extractors. That's what we are dealing with. What is the name of the data source? This is the name of the ODP data source. And what is the replication mode? Replication mode, don't choose full, just choose extraction of last delta. Okay. Extraction of last delta will create a dummy request for the extractor. Okay. Extraction of all data, don't choose that. Extraction of last delta, just because delta is not enabled yet, right? So that means it will just create a dummy subscription queue there. By the way, do we have the queue open? Let's keep the queue open to just test it out. Okay, there it is. Okay. So I'll just keep the queue open along with this guy. Okay. So now, let me minimize this. Okay. So now let's execute this. So what it is doing, it is basically generating a dummy queue or a dummy subscription in the ODQ. Okay. So it is fine. It is all blank. That means it's a dummy request. And now you come back and then you just refresh here. Now, do you see an entry for 11V HDR? Yes, there is an entry. And what is that entry? That entry, okay, if you double click on that entry, this entry is a dummy entry, meaning test data flow does not exist. The actual subscription does not exist. This is a dummy subscription, okay, just to let the program know that yes, we have that queue in the operational delta queue. So don't worry, this is a legitimate data source, ODP enabled data source, and a dummy entry does exist. Without this, okay, subscription type is RODP REPL test. That means it's a test entry, okay, and this will actually enable the program to now run OLI7BW. Now it's allowing you to run the setup table filling for that particular ODP enabled data source. Okay, this process was not there before, but now it is there. Again, if you don't want to do a dummy, you want to do an actual entry, Then you can go to BW, replicate the data source, and then you can do a initialization without data transfer just to set up the entry there in the ODQmon, and then you can fill the setup table. That's possible. But without actually replicating the data source, without initializing the delta, I still wanted to test. Okay, that should be possible, and that's possible via this particular dummy entry in my ODQmon, the operational delta key. Now let's quickly do the run. So I'll just quickly give any name, LIS11 for August. I'll give just 01. Okay, LIS7. You can give any name. Termination date always give to the future, 1 day future, so that even if the job runs for long, even if it crosses the day, you still have enough time. Time is fine. Block all orders. So you can do that while filling setup tables. You can also block any postings which is happening by the users so that you don't miss those. Okay, there's no inconsistencies. You have that. We will not do that. We don't need it because we don't have many people working here in the ECC. So sorry, in S4, and you can do a simulation also. So I'll do a quick actual run. So just execute it.
So when you say block all orders, like nobody can create orders?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So when we don't have a setup tables like for FI extractors, do we still need to go with this ODQmon transaction code?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if it is an ODP enabled data source, then definitely you have to go through ODQmon. But if it is not an ODP enabled data source, then you don't need that.
Irrespective of setup tables or not setup tables?
Yeah. Irrespective of setup tables or not, if it's an ODP enabled data source, you will have to use ODQmon.
Okay. How do we understand what is an ODP enabled data source?
RUSATTR, I showed you, right? Where is that?
No, I mean, what is the function of that ODP? I mean, I think I somehow missed it.
No, ODP is coming. Don't worry. Okay. We will discuss ODP in detail when we talk about deltas, right? ODP concept is new in the sense that it is no more the classic queues which were application cluster tables. Now it is a new type of a table which can be reused by not just BW, by anyone, a third party tool also. So that's why it's a reusable subscription based model, and we'll deal with that. Don't worry. But the way, if you want to just identify whether this is an ODP enabled data source or not, is that table which I showed you. RUSATTR. Okay. So
does
definitely
that mean
this.
we don't have LUW?
Sorry, we have LUWs. Yeah, we have a concept of LUW. So LUW is still there in ODQmon. Okay. So let's see. There must be a job. Yeah. ODQR. Yeah, so I think it has run successfully. So now what we'll do is we'll go back to, so REPL test is done. So this is the step you have to keep in mind, that this is a special process for ODP enabled data sources for setup table. It's a setup table. Now the setup table will have the same number of entries, 55, which is there in the base table, which is your VBAK. There might be some occasions where the data in the base table will not match with the data in the setup table. So for example, here it is matching, which is fine, but there can be like tables, setup tables, where your base table might have 100 records, just for an example, and your setup table will have 75 records only. That is possible. Okay, so don't get alarmed by that. That is absolutely normal. And why it is normal, can somebody tell me? If I see a different set of data record in base table versus setup table, what might be the reason?
We can filter. We can filter. Use the filter while filling the setup table.
No, I have not used any filter. Still, if I see less number of records in setup table, what can be the reason?
It is uncompressed.
Correct, exactly. Setup tables are compressed data. Okay, so if you see the data, if you want to see the data in this, okay, setup table, let's look at the data. It is all clustered compressed format. It is not your regular format in setup table. Okay, so you have reorganization, you have the data element for system, binary data element, and then the actual data in the compressed clustered format. So that's why the number of records might not be exactly 1:1 with the base table. Okay, and why this is like that? Because when we fill the setup table, the purpose is usually full load or initialization load, which means huge data volume. And to cater to huge data volume, SAP has provided these setup tables as compressed tables. Okay, so that is why the number of records might differ. It's not necessary that it will differ, but it might. Okay, so setup table is filled. So now we can go to our RSA3 and then run the data source again with the full mode. Now it should bring me 55 data records. So my setup table is filled and my 55 data records are there. Let me quickly check. So you can go to ALV grid. Excuse me.
So Devanshu, when we use these block all orders, so there is no downtime required?
No, downtime is still recommended. Okay, you can do block orders, yes, but that will create unnecessary issues during the transaction posting. So yeah, if you have the approval to block all orders, you can do that. But I think the downtime is still required.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so we have the data package 1, which has 55 records. So I have all the records in the structure of the data source. So this is the data source structure. So I have all the data in that particular structure from the VBAK table. So setup table is filled with the test entry in my ODQ1. So now let's go back to the requirement. What is my requirement? Customer scenario.
One question, Devanshu. To fill the setup tables, and subscription for one subscription for one application is enough. I mean, you have done for 11, right? Can I use for 11 item and 11 conditions?
Yeah, you can. So they will have different queues. See, the setup table filling is for the entire application 11, right? But the queue generated is a data source specific queue, not application specific queue. So if you want for item, condition, schedule line, you have to create separate queues for those data sources in the ODQ1. Okay?
Okay.
Separate subscriptions. Okay. So you cannot reuse this for the entire 11 application. Okay, so now the requirement, let's see. Okay.
Devanshu, sorry to disturb. Like, what is the difference between this header, item, condition, schedule line, or what I heard? Like, what are these different data sources? Will you tell me?
Different data sources will give you different detail level of data. So for header, say for example, I have my material company code, what is the currency used, okay, what is the plant, what is the location, that's it. Master data. Header data is kind of a master data, okay. No values, quantity, the actual dollar values will not be there in header. For those details, you have to go to item level. So item level means your detail line item level that this particular, okay, so to make you understand, let me go to a T code. Okay, not change, we'll go to display only. So, oh, not
display 3.
Yeah, so if I give an order number, so these are my sales document, sales orders generated in S4 system. Okay, so if I give an order number, let me see what orders are there. Okay, so say for example, this one, 49. Okay, so for 49, this is the sales order which is generated in S4. This order will have lot of details like who's the customer for the order, who is the sold to party, shipped to party, what is the customer reference number, what is the delivery date requested, what is the delivery block, what is the payment terms, okay, international payment, Inco version, Inco terms, etc. Location. This is all header data. That means the basic details of a particular order. Now there is another detail called quantity and value. This is actually the value in INR, Indian rupees, and this is the quantity each. So 20 each and 60,000 INR. This is not header. This is now you're talking about the line item. So this you see line item number 10. There can be item number 20, 30, 40 different items, and each item will have the order quantity and the unit and the net value, etc. So if you're just talking about the header details, you're talking about sales header. If you're talking about the actual quantity and value of the particular items, what are the different items, then you're talking about item level. Then you have shipping, you have schedule line. Schedule line means going to further details where you will see that when is this scheduled to be delivered. This item might be scheduled to be delivered today. The next item might be scheduled to be delivered after 1 month. So if you want to see those schedules for different items in the order, then you go for schedule line. And if you just want to see the status, then there is a header status. So these are different data sources which will bring you different level of detail of data, whether it's header level, item level, schedule line level, etc.
Okay, and what is status? Like, what are the different status?
Is it delivered or not? Is it still open?
Oh.
Is it closed? So on and so forth.
Okay. Thank you, Devanshu. Thank you.
No problem. So it's a little bit functional. You have to understand functionally how an order is basically created in S4, and you can check that in VA03, the different orders, and you can see what are the different. There are different tabs. Item overview will have different details only for items. Then we have detail level of item. Then like item category, what is the category? What is the material? Then we have ordering party, procurement, shipping, reason. So it's all connected. So an order is connected to different departments. So this is basically shipping department, procurement department, etc. So it goes through a flow. There's a data flow in ECC or S4, right? Starts with purchase or acquisition. Then it is a purchase order is created. Then a sales order is created. Then it goes through different approvals. So status will change. Then it will go for shipping. That means finally the basic what do I say? The material is being delivered to the customer. Then invoice will be generated. That means payment. Now we are talking to payment. So order is delivered. Now the payment is pending. So the payment details will be updated. So it basically goes through a flow. Every order goes through a flow, which you can see in VBPA, I think table, which will give you the sales document flow. So that's why. So within this flow, there are different levels of detail: order details, item details, shipping details, billing details, invoicing details, so on and so forth. So that's what these data sources are all about. One is only give you header details, one will give you item details, one will give you schedule line details, etc. Because it's not necessary that every time you need all the details. A report from a customer might need only item level. They don't want schedule line. So that's why SAP has given different data sources so that you can extract only that part from the S4, not everything. Okay, so coming back to our requirement. So this was the requirement from the sales header. Now sales header had all these fields: sales document number, AU, ART document type, company code bookers, Kuner for customer, which is also called sold to party, order reason, fiscal year variant, etc. So these are all the fields which we require. Okay, so these are all the fields which we already have in our data source. Okay, so let me show you. So you see here, this is the data source, 12 VA. We have sold to party, we have the company code, we have the sales document number, etc., order type, etc. Right? So all these details are there. What is not there is these two fields are not there. So country is not there, name one is not there. Let's do a quick check before we can conclude that they are not there. I'll do a quick check. Okay, so we'll go to RSS6, or you can, okay, it is logged. That's fine. Let me actually close all the tabs to the right. Go back. Actually, I can check in RSA2 also. That's also fine. So there are different T codes to check the data source details. So we'll check for the VHDR, and you will see the fields. And here you will see, okay, here the thing is you will not be able to see the description of the fields. So rather, let me go to RSA6, because there we can see the description also. Okay, so you see here, let's see if we have country and the name of the customer. Okay, this is the customer name and this is the country of the customer. So we'll see whether do we have name one and land one. Keep me honest here, guys. Okay, we'll go scroll down and we'll see if name one, land one is there or not already. Okay, that was a small list. Okay, so it's not there. So now if your data source, your standard data source is not having the fields which you require as part of the report, okay, what will you do? What is the first step we do?
We have to enhance the structure.
Correct. We have to enhance my extract structure. Structure means the set of fields. Now we have to add those fields. But before I add, what will I have to check? I have to check whether my superset has that particular field or not. Okay. So you go to your LBWE. In your LBWE, expand that. Okay. Where can I see the superset? I saw the superset in the maintenance. Okay. Now, before you go to maintain, it's always a best practice to first inactive the update, because we are doing the modification. So we'll make it inactive. Then you go to maintain. Once you go to maintain, on the left hand side, there is no country. We already saw that. Let's see on the right hand side, do we have country? Because if we have on the right hand side, which is the communication structure, then I don't need to write any code. It will automatically be taken care. I just have to transfer the field here and I don't have to write any custom logic, because these fields, they already have the logic automatically added once you add it from the communication structure to extract structure. But if your communication structure also does not have it, then you have to add it and write your own custom logic to populate it. But I want to see if I can save that effort of writing the logic to populate. So let's see if it is there here. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Let's first filter on VBAK. We'll check from VBAK. Land one, name one. So fortunately, it is sorted in alphabetical manner. So I can directly go to L and just check. Okay, so land TX is there, which is a tax department city. No, I don't want that. I want the country. So L is gone. L is finished. So land one is not there. Let me check if yeah. So land one is not there. So definitely communication structure also does not have the land one. How about name one? Let's check name one. After M, we have only one field with N, NETWR. So name one is also not there. So my extract structure does not have it. My communication structure also does not have it. Now what do I do? So I have to enhance either the extract structure, or I can also enhance my communication structure. Which one do you think is preferred, or which one do you think will be better? Should I enhance the extract structure here, or should I enhance this guy itself, the communication structure?
Communication structure.
Communication structure.
Why? Why not just the extract structure?
So if we want to use in another data source, right, the communication structure is good.
Correct. I think this was Srini. No, Shrikant. Shrikant, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, you're right. So there are both ways possible. Either you can do an extract structure enhancement, or you can do the parent who is supplying supplying to you all these fields. You can enhance that guy also. The benefit of doing that one is that for other data sources like item level, if you see the item level, okay, let me just quickly do it in the transport request. In the item level also I have MCVBAC. Okay, so there are certain structures which are common to the different data sources. So header will also have MCVBAC, item will also have MCVBAC. Similarly, what item has, the schedule line might also have, or condition might also have the same structure. So if you enhance only the extract structure, it will be specific to that data source. But if you enhance the communication structure source, okay, then that field will be available to multiple data sources. Okay, that's one advantage you can have. So usually nothing like is better in terms of performance. In terms of performance and usability, both are the same. But in terms of reusability, enhancing the source of communication structure is better. Okay. So what we'll do is MCVBAC we will enhance. So to enhance MCVBAC, first you have to find MCVBAC. And how do you find MCVBAC? Again, what is the shortcut to find the objects in S4? What is the keyword shortcut, Shakti?
Can you repeat the question once again, Debanshu?
What is the keyboard shortcut to find an object in S4? Which is basically an ABAP project here. There is a keyboard shortcut, right? And I want that keyboard shortcut where my text help is there. That means the moment I start typing, that moment it starts listing down the items also. So I want that.
Control Shift A.
Yes, Control Shift A. Okay, remember that, which is Open ABAP Development Object. And make sure your project is the correct project. Then you start searching MCVBAK. There you go. MCVBAC is your structure. Okay, this symbol identifies structure. All the other structures which starts with MCVBAC are also listed here. So we will enhance this one. So double click on this. Excuse me. And everything you should be doing in Eclipse. Please get comfortable with the Eclipse editor. Okay. The sooner you get comfortable, then faster you will be able to work with the native Eclipse editor syntax. So MCVBAC is basically a structure. And you can see on the left hand side, it's also highlighted. Okay. Now, why it is highlighting on the left hand side, whatever you open in your editor, main editor here on the right hand side, same thing will also be shown to you on the left hand side if you have selected this particular box or this particular feature. Link with editor. This is a very handy tool. Okay. Very handy feature. If you check this, whatever you open here, automatically in the repository tree, that particular object will be listed. If you don't have that, then you will not be able to, navigate. So automatically system is navigating for you once you open anything in the editor. Okay. So we have this particular structure. All this structure includes, different structure include VBAK. Then you are extending the field with the foreign key, there is join. Then you do, so there are different fields. So these are all the different fields. This is a CDS syntax. Okay. These are annotations. @ are annotations. And then you have defined structure, VBAK. This is all CDS syntax. So this is a new syntax to define your ABAP objects, which is CDS, Core Data Services. So Core Data Services has views, which we call CDS views. Core Data Services has tables, which we call CDS tables. Core Data Services has structures, which we call CDS structure, and this is one of the CDS structures. Now we have to enhance this structure, okay? Because just do a Control F. Name one is not there. Land one is not there. Okay. So how do you enhance this structure? The way you enhance this structure is just right click on this, okay, and say new append structure. So any new fields you will add to the structure will be an append structure. You are appending fields, okay, to the overall list of fields. So you will right click on the main structure which you are enhancing and you will click on new append structure. So it will ask you package. So package, I want my own package because this is a custom object. So I have created a custom package in S4HANA. So you can create your own package. Please don't use this package. Whatever you are doing in S4, do it in your own package. Okay, that way we can keep our code separate from each other. So there will be no mix up. So this is the package which I have created in S4HANA. Okay, and we will create everything. I will create everything under this package. Now the name of the append structure is, you can say Z append structure for MCV pack. Okay, and description is we are adding, yeah, there you go, adding material and customer attributes. Okay, so customer attributes are these attributes: country for the customer and name of the customer. So this is the enhancement. Later on we'll also add some material because if you see the item, we have material type which we have to add. Okay, so I'm just giving the name material and customer attributes, and then you click on, so base structure is MCV back and the append structure is ZAS MCV back. AS is the append structure. I'm following that naming convention. Click on next. So it's asking for a transport request. So I have created one transport request. You can create a test transport request and put all your requests there. Again, please don't use this transport request. Keep it separate so that you can immediately see what objects you have registered with the transport request. Click on finish.
In the bunch, the object will be locked in transport, right? So whenever if we try to do any change, it will go to this transport only.
Yes, correct. So you create your own structure. You don't need to create the same structure, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have end user text label and ABAP catalog enhancement category. By default, these annotations are added to the CDS structure. So end user text label is basically the description of our particular structure, and enhancement category is basically telling us whether can you enhance this particular structure or not. By default, it is non-extendable or not extensible. If you see MCV back, the enhancement categories, it is extensible. That means you can enhance this structure with two types of fields: character-like fields and numeric fields. But by default, the append structure we created is not extensible. If you want to change it, you can change it. Just press Control Space. Okay, Control Space is your big friend in CDS world. Okay, with Control Space, you can have all types of context sensitive help you need. So I just remove everything after the hash, and after the hash, I just press Control Space, and all the possible values of this particular enhancement category has been shown. So the first one is not extensible, meaning it cannot be enhanced. We have extensible character, meaning can be enhanced with a character-like field only, or we can have extensible character and numeric, okay, but they have to be flat data type. Flat data type means only character-like or numeric-like. It cannot be another structure. And then you have extensible any, means it can have deep structures also. That means you can enhance this structure with another structure. That can also be possible in addition to the normal fields or the normal base type, character, numeric, etc. So you can choose anything. We will keep it consistent with MCV back. MCV back was extensible character numeric, so I'm going to keep that. And then this is the syntax: extend type MCV back with our append structure. And then what we'll do is we will add our two fields. What were the two fields? Land 1. And what is the data type? You have to give the data type. So before giving the data type, you have to separate it with a colon. Colon will differentiate between the name of the field and the name of the data element or data type. Okay. So data element, already SAP has given some data element. So I'll use them. Okay, just press control space, data element. There you see, I have a land1 data element already there, which is character 3. Okay, and you can see the short text is country. So I know that this is for country. So I'm going to choose land1. You can also give like type character or numeric or decimal. You can do that. But if you already have a data element defined, data element means a data type is already defined for you, a standard data type out of the box. So you can use that. End with the semicolon. Next one is name1. And then that also has a standard data element of name1. So if you just want to find if there's a standard data element or not, you can just type the first letter and just type control space. All the data elements and everything will be shown to you. Table type, data element, structure starting with N. And I just, if I say name, then all the objects like data element, structure, everything will be shown to you with that particular name. So I'll click name1. Just want to make sure, yeah, name1 is there. It is 30. It is fine. So I'll use this. End with semicolon. And that's it. So I just need 2 fields. And where I'm adding those fields to the communication structure, source structure, MCVBAC. Okay. And then I will just say Control S to save, Control F2 to check whether there are any problems or not. So it says only warnings are there. So let's see what are the warnings. So for warnings, you have to go to problems view. Okay, if you don't have this problems view, just go to Windows, show view, and then problems view. If you don't have it, then you have to go to other and find it. So make sure you are in ADT perspective, ABAP development perspective. Okay, not in your BW perspective, because BW perspectives problems might not be the same as your ADT problems. Okay, and properties might not be the same. So just to be safe, go to ABAP development. Whenever you are working with S4HANA, always work with ABAP development. Whenever we are working with BW for HANA, you should prefer BW modeling, unless you are creating some ABAP structures or tables or something else. So we have, what is the warning? Field name1 does not line customer name. So that's fine. This is just a warning. Customer namespace means ZY. So it's just suggesting that you should start with Z or Y, but it's just a warning. You can ignore that. We'll just press Control F3. Control F3 is the shortcut to activate. Okay. So it's activating now. So let's see if it activates successfully, then we are okay. If there's a problem, then it will throw you an error. Excuse me.
So Devanshu, like all the data sources like from the BW for S4HANA are CDS view based by default?
No. Not CDS view based. ODP enabled.
So
by default in S4, starting from I think 1809, if I'm not wrong, all these standard data sources, most of them, not all, but most of them are ODP enabled now, not CDS view. Some of them are CDS views. So starting with few modules like plant maintenance and few other, they have started to roll out the CDS view based data sources, but they are just, I think 20-30% they have just reached, not more than that.
Yeah, but any ODP data sources are like CDS enabled?
No. Please keep these two concepts separate. Don't mix it up. ODP enabled does not mean it is a CDS view based data sources. ODP can have different context. ODP can be connected to your standard extractors. ODP can be connected to your CDS view based extractors. ODP can be connected to your OData based connectivity. ODP can be connected to your SLT. So ODP is a technology which is not restricted to CDS views only. Okay, ODP, let me quickly show you. We are jumping the topic here, but just for your understanding, I'll show you. We have a complete discussion on ODP coming up. So don't worry on that. Okay, but just for your reference, ODP is basically connected to your data source, which is extractors. ABAP CDS views is a separate context. In ODP, the language we use is context. So data source is a separate context, CDS view is a separate concept, BW if you are connecting as a source, it's a separate context, SLT can send data to the same queue, okay? And HANA information views, ODP, which is deprecated by the way, is also possible. So these are the different context or the providers, source data providers for ODP. So don't think that ODP is just CDS views. No, no, no. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so coming back, so it is successfully activated, which is good. So that means our structure is enhanced. Now, how you can make sure your structure is enhanced? You go to MCVBack, press control, not control. Actually, if you just press F5, okay, just press F5. F5 means you are refreshing the structure. After refreshing, do you see any change here? Let's see if somebody can catch the change. After I refreshed, there was a slight change which happened. What is that change?
In that line number 3, there is a dark.
Exactly. Who's that? May I know your name?
Shankar.
Shankar. Okay. So Shankar, you have good eyes. So there on line number 3, there is a small icon which appeared. And that icon is the append structure or the enhancement indicator for you guys to see that whether we have any extensions connected to this base structure. Yes, we have our ZAS MCVBack extended and we have added few fields for in their extend structure. So this is your first indicator. Is there any enhancement done to this structure? Yes, there is an enhancement. What is enhancement? This is enhancement. If you click here, it will take you to that particular append structure. Another way to check is click here on the structure and press F2. The moment you press F2 on your keyboard, it's going to list down all the fields for you. So sometimes what people need is, please don't show me the structures. Just give me the parent list of all the fields this particular structure has. Then you can just click on that, press F2. It will give you the list of all the fields with the component type, data type and everything. And at the bottom, you have certain icons, right? The rightmost icon is detail view with append structure. If you click there, now it will show you not just the fields, but with the append structures. So just minimize everything. And at the very bottom, you will see our append structure. So this is a consolidated view of what structures or what includes have been added to this particular structure. So we have the VBack main one, then we have the additional MCVBAK, then partner related fields, then co-MIHI, then MCVBack user, and finally we have our Z, which you can expand, and you will be able to see that we have land one and name one added, country key and name. Okay, this is the look and feel of Eclipse editor. Now people who are comfortable, more comfortable with the GUI based, you can still jump that. Don't think it is gone. It is still there. So you click here. Okay, if you want to see in the SAP GUI, regular SE11 look and feel, click on the structure, right click and say open with SAP GUI. So when you click on open with SAP GUI, then it will give you the familiar SE11 look and feel. And there, if you scroll to the bottom, you will see your append structure is added, which is land one and name one. Okay, many people are comfortable with this one, but I would encourage you to start using the native Eclipse editor more and more, which is CDS syntax basically. Excuse me. Okay, so now we have appended the structure. Now next what we have to do, what is the step number 2? We have appended the structure now.
Write code for it.
Populate the values.
Yeah.
Okay. Write code? No. That is step number 3. What is step number 2? Have I added these fields in my extract structure? Extract structure. Have I added the fields?
No, you are added. No.
No, I have just added these fields in the communication structure source. That means these fields now should be available on the which side? Left side or the right side?
Left side.
Left
Right
side.
side.
Left
Right
side.
side.
Right
Right
side.
side.
Right.
It's like, yeah,
Right side.
आधे right, आधे left, बाकी मेरे पीछे. So
It's available in superset. We have to add in subset.
correct. It is
Correct.
available on the right side, which is your superset, not your left side. Why? Because I enhanced MC VBAC. I did not enhance the extract structure. Okay. So if you go back here, okay, now if you go to the, actually let me come back again just to make sure that the screens are refreshed. So if you go to LBWE again, okay, then if you expand this, then if you go to, it's inactive, which is good. Now you maintain, now your, okay, so it's asking me transport request, which is fine. Now your MC VBAC should have the fields. Land 1, let's go to L. Okay, let me just go to this MC VBAC.
It's there, Devanshu.
It's there? There you go. So I have my land 1 now as part of MC VBAC, which now I can transfer to my left side, which is my communication, the extract structure. Okay. Then you have name 1. Is name 1 there? Guys, keep me honest here.
Yeah, it's there in the middle.
There, name 1. Now I'll transfer it here. So at the end, if you go, these will be in the black. Why black? Because just to differentiate between what was already there by default and what you added from the superset. Okay, MC VBAC, land 1, MC VBAC name. Why this came now? Because we enhanced the structure. Now you click on OK. Do you want to confirm the entry? Yes. Oh, it's saying, sorry, I cannot add. Why I cannot add?
Setup tables filled
You need
already.
to delete the setup table.
Exactly. You will not be able to enhance the field if the data is there in setup table. Why?
Because setup table takes the
Structure
structure.
is changing.
Exactly. Nice, nice. Very good. Yes, so structure is changing. So that means the data which is already there in setup table is no more valid. The structure is changing, so it has to be a new structure. So that means I will delete setup table. Okay, guys, let me ask individual. Okay, don't answer. Let me ask Padmaja. Are you there?
I'm there.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, this is my way to keep people awake. So, Padmaja, tell me the transaction code for deleting the setup tables.
Is it still LBWG?
Yes, it is still LBWG. Correct. That has not changed. So the T code to change the the delete the setup table is LBWG. Okay. So this is not data source specific. This is application specific. So it's not that only header will go away. If you have data for header, item, schedule line, everything connected to 11 application, everything will be cleaned. Okay. So let's close this. Let's see the data in my setup table. Okay. Right now there are 55 entries. Okay, good. Now I'm going to delete it. Will you want to delete the restructure? Yes, I want to. Okay. So now let's see. Gone. So setup table is empty. It is gone now. So now I'll go back and again do the maintain. Unfortunately, it will not be there on the left side anymore. Yeah, so I have to do it again. Let me filter with MC VBAC. Okay, there you go, land 1 and name 1 is here, name 1. So land 1 and name 1 are there. Now I'll click on OK. Do you want to confirm? Yes, I want to confirm. Transport request, yes. So because this is the table content, so it's asking for transport request, which is fine. I'll give my particular transport request. Extract is generated successfully. Okay, good. Okay, so it will turn red. Why it will turn red? Because we just enhanced the structure. And now you'll have to go again to data source to make sure everything is fine. by default, these two fields will be hidden. Okay, you have to make sure they are not hidden. There you go. Land 1 was hidden. I'll remove that. Name 1 was hidden. I'll remove that. I'll just click on save. Data source is done. Now I'll change this to active. Good, green. So my extract structure is activated. Now, okay. I showed you the name of the main structure, which was MCVBAC, but there is a name of the extract structure also. Okay. And the extract structure name is this MC11VA0HDR. This is the name of the extract structure. Okay. I did not enhance this. I enhanced the MCVBAC. Okay. And then I brought the field. I could have enhanced the MC11VHDR also. That's also possible. Okay. So remember, this is the name of the extract structure. All right. So this is done. What is the next step?
Setup table field.
Need to write the body code.
Okay. Setup table filling. Let's fill the setup table. Let's see if we will have data or not. Okay. OLI 7 BW. The dummy entry is still there, so no problem. It will allow me. Just do another run. Okay, then let's check our extractor. Okay, full mode. $55 records, that means good. Setup table was filled successfully. Now let me see the data. Let me filter the data. I just want to see the name 1 and land 1. What is the value populated? Name 1 and land 1 is country key. Okay, that's the description. Okay, let's see. Blank. Why blank, guys? Why am I not having any values in these fields?
The code is missing.
It is not written to populate.
The logic.
Correct. So the step number 3, last step, is to populate the logic for these enhanced fields. By default, they will not be auto-populated, right? Because you enhance them. So when you enhance them with your field with an append structure, you have to populate the logic. So that means you have to write a baddie. Okay. So the default way now has changed from CMOD to baddie. Okay. So before we go into the baddie and implement and write the code, let's take a quick break, 10 minutes break. Let's come back at 10 o'clock. Okay. It's 9:52 my time. Let's come back at 10 o'clock and then we'll continue with our baddie. So let me pause the recording. Okay. So just making sure, voice, can you hear me okay? And you can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So step number 1 was enhancing the MCVBAC, which we did. Step number 2, transferring that to extract structure, which we did. And now step number 3 is going to be writing the logic to populate it. So before we go into the system, just a little bit of theory on that. So there is the enhancement. Yeah. So there was an old way and now there's a new way. Okay. So what is the old way? Old way was function module, or nothing but also called user exits based enhancement. So what we used to do, we used to go to the RSAP 0001. There we used to go to the exit SAP LR SAP function module, and we used to have 4 different function modules: exit underscore SAP LR SAP 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is for transaction data and remaining 3 are for master data. 2 is for attributes within the master data, 3 is for text within the master data, and 4 was for the hierarchies for the master data. And then we used to go there and click on this include ZRXAU01 and then write our code. That was the old method, which has not been completely removed. It is still there. Okay, so CMOD code you can still write, and that will be executed in the backend, but that is no more the default way. Now the better and the recommended way, and also the default for BW for HANA data sources, is BADI. Now, as I mentioned, so Shakti asked the question that what is BADI? Can we just quickly do a definition of the BADI? And I answered there. I'm going to repeat that. So BADI is basically a list of interfaces. So let's define BADI first. So what is a BADI? BADI is equal to a list of interfaces and the class which implements the methods of the interfaces. What is an interface? Interface is basically a list of empty methods. Empty means only definition will be there, no implementation. Okay. This is because it can be reused in multiple classes, and the class, okay, ABAP class is the place where you will implement the logic for that method. Definition will be in the interface, and the logic, actual code to implement that method will be in the class. So BADI is a list of interfaces and the class, which is also called implementing class, which implements the definition, which implements the methods which are given in the interface. The class can also implement its own methods, like additional methods, but primary purpose is to implement the methods provided as a part of interfaces. Okay, that's what is a BADI. So that's what I've mentioned here also, list of interfaces. Interface has many methods, empty methods, and the class which we will define will actually implement the method. So the new method or the default method is using the standard SAP provided BADI, RSU5_SAPI_BADI. This is the standard classic BADI. Okay, this is a classic BADI. BADIs are also two types, classic BADI and new type of BADI. Okay, where enhancement spots and all those other things will come into picture. But there is something called a classic BADI, meaning that the enhancement spots for that BADI is already decided. SAP has given that, and SAP has said that don't worry about the enhancement spot, just use this BADI. I have given this BADI, implement your own version of this BADI and use it. So that's called a classic BADI. The new type of BADI are enhancement spot also you can create. So you can create an enhancement spot and then you can associate a BADI with that. So those are the new type of BADIs. But this one has been there for quite some time now. The BADI is not new, but the process to enhance the data source is new and the default one now with this BADI, RSU5 SAP BADI. So as of basis 6.0 and PI basis 2004_1, which is 4.6C ECC, R3 it was called. A new way is available. As you can see, this is not a new BADI. This was there from a long time. And this is now used rather than the function module user exits, which we used to access through CMOD. The technical name of the BADI is RSU5 SAP BADI, which is also detailed in this note. If you want to know further details of this BADI, you can refer to this note. So there are two ways to enhance the data source with the BADI. First is an inefficient way. The other one is an efficient way. The inefficient way is for each data source, you implement a separate version of this BADI. So for header, one version of this BADI. For item, another version of this BADI. For schedule line, another version of this BADI. That is one way. You can do that. In that case, there will be so many BADIs in the system, so many versions of the same BADI in the system, and the developer will get confused and the developer will have a hard time dealing with so many implementation. So that is one way. First, we will implement that way, okay, just to show you that how it looks like. Then we will do the efficient way, which is only one implementation of the BADI, okay, not multiple implementations. Only one implementation, and within that implementation, we will have different methods for different data sources. So header, 11 header will have its own method. 11 item will have its own method. Schedule line will have its own method, so on and so forth. So that everything is done in a modular fashion. That means method by method, different data sources, different methods. And also everything is at a single place, so that your developer knows that this is the common place where all the data source enhancements are there. And within that particular class, there will be different methods which will correspond to different data sources. That is the efficient way to code the enhancements. So we will look at both. Today,
in both the cases, sorry for interrupting.
Yes, tell me.
Can I mean, suddenly
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Just, sorry. In both the cases, the transport dependency or independency will be there or not? I mean, both are independent when we suppose same data source is being used by two different people who want to enhance it.
Okay, same data source is implemented by two different people. Okay, so in that case, in the first way, right, you can work independently, right? Because you will have two different implementations of the same data source. You can do that. In the second way, which is the efficient way, you might have some locking issue because it is the same method you are dealing with, right? So that particular class will be logged by your user ID. So you might not be able to work independently unless you create an empty method and then work with that empty method separately in a separate class. And once your code is done, then you come back and populate that empty method. That's another way to work in parallel to the other developer who's already maybe halfway through his code and you are just starting. So maybe you can say that, okay, I'll just put an empty method there right now and just, I will create my own temporary class and I'll write the code there. Once he's done, I will retrofit my code there. But I don't think you can work parallelly on the same method inside the same class. Is it possible, guys? I don't think so. Not sure though.
No, Devanshu, I have worked in Badi. It's not possible. I mean, it goes to the same transport, so one person can lock it at one point of time.
Exactly, because if the class is the same and the method you are working with is also the same, it will be logged for sure. So parallelly, no, of course not. First case, parallelly you can. That's maybe one advantage with the first one. But then again, the logistics of maintenance will be a nightmare in the first way. Okay.
If the methods are different, you can work, but same implementation plus different methods you can work parallelly.
But yeah, not same method. So that's why I'm saying you can create an empty method for now, or maybe just for temporary, just create your own class and method, and once you are done, you retrofit the code there.
Right.
Okay. So we'll go to the first method. We'll implement that, and then tomorrow, not tomorrow, next class we will go the efficient way. Before I delve into the coding, there are two things. There are two internal variables, table variables. You have to know before you can deal with the code. What are the two important standard SAP given variables? The first one is C_T_data, CT data. This is very important. SAP standard given variable. This will contain all the data from the base tables and in the structure which the data source has. In that particular structure, it will have all the code. CT data. Please remember that. The second important standard SAP given variable is I_data_source. I_data_source is basically the variable which will contain the name of the data source. So these are the two important ones. Now with that background, let's go into the code. So we have to implement BADI. How do we implement BADI? There are two transaction codes you have to remember. The first transaction code is SE18. SE18 is for the BADI builder, which is, again, you can create an enhancement spot or you can provide a BADI name. If you already know the BADI name, you can do that. This is for the new type of BADIs. Then there is a second T code, which is SE19. SE19 will have new BADIs and classic baddies both. Okay. Since our RSU5 SAPI baddie is a classic baddie, so we will create a new implementation of this classic baddie. So this is editing the implementation if you already have, and this is creating a new implementation of either a new baddie with enhancement spot or a classic baddie. So in our case, because it's a baddie which is classic, older baddie is coming like there for some time now, so we will use that. So RSU, there you go. So RSU5 SAPI baddie is the baddie name which is called for each data source. Okay. So then we will create a new implementation. Click on create. It will ask you what is the name of the implementation you want to give. I'll give ZZRSU5 underscore. Yeah, this name is good because now it is data source specific. So ZZRSU5 2LIS 11 VAHDR. Okay. Not an efficient way, but this is one of the ways. So implementation name is this. Let's keep it handy with us, so that later on if you want to refer to that, we can do that. Okay. ZZRSU5 2LS 11 VHDR. We click on OK. Okay. Now we can have implementation short text. You can say 2LIS 11 VAHDR enhancements. Okay. The definition is already there. This is the baddie name. Implementation will not be called right now because it's not active, right? Once we active, you will see implementation will be called. It will come. So what are the properties? Package is my package. You have to create your own package. Please don't use it. Again, I'm reiterating. Then it is a multiple use. Okay. That means you can use this particular implementation multiple times. And then we have interface. As I told you, every baddie will come with a standard interface. Okay, what is the interface? Empty methods. So what is the interface name? Interface name is IF. IF stands for interface. IFEX, and that is prefixed, and then you have the name of the baddie. So this is the standard interface name associated with the baddie. And name of the class is also auto-populated for you. Again, ZCL underscore IM. This is the implementing class, and then the name of your implementation. So that is the naming convention provided by SAP. So we will check this. Okay. And there are two methods which are provided as part of this particular baddie: the data transform method and the hierarchy transform method. Okay. So both of them are already there by default as part of this baddie. Now what we have to do is, first we have to save this. So this is a new implementation. So we save it, and then we will also activate it. Okay, implementation saved, and now click on activate. So we'll activate this. Okay, so baddie implementation has been activated. So baddie implementation is active now. So now what we have to do is we have to take this class, copy this class name, and then you find it, Control Shift A, find the class, because that class might be generated. There you go. It's a global class. CL stands for ZCL is the naming convention for the global class. Okay. Click on that. Now you see the, by the way, it changed from implementation will not be called to implementation will be called. That means it's active now. So every time a data source is like the code, backend code is triggered, it's going to look for an active implementation of this baddie, and it will find this implementation now. And now in that particular class, we have already certain code which is by default added. What is the code added? Class, class name, definition, class, class name, implementation. Okay. So every class will have two sets of coding. First is the definition part. Second is the implementation part. So if you see in the implementation, it's a public one. It's a public class. And then we have the public section, protected section, and private section. Okay. So the interface has to be in the public section. So by default, already interface is there in the public section. So you don't have to worry about your definition part. It's already taken care of. In the implementation part, the methods inside this interface will be implemented. Meaning the actual code will be written under the method and method block. Method and method. Now we are dealing with attributes. Land1 and name1 are attributes. We are not dealing with hierarchy. So we will not write any code inside this block because this is related to hierarchy. We are not dealing with hierarchy. If you don't write any code between method and end method, it's called empty implementation. That means no code written. All right. But the block with method, the name of the particular method and the end method is mandatory. Okay, you cannot remove this completely. Then it will be a problem because it will say that there is a method as a part of this interface, you have not implemented it. Okay, you can keep it empty, but at least you have to write this particular line of code. Now, the main method, what we will be dealing with is basically the data transform method. This is used for your what? This is used for your attributes and text. Okay, so since we are dealing with attributes, we will deal with data transform. Okay, so now inside the data transform, what we will write is, we will say, we will declare a field symbol first. Okay, field symbol. We'll say ls data. Okay, type will be MC11. MC11 VA0 HDR. Yeah, because we are dealing with the header data source, so we will take the type of the extract structure. Okay, for the header data source, we are dealing with header here. Okay, now field symbol is done. Then what I will say is loop at what is the that table name where all the data already comes in, the SAP standard variable, table variable. What was the name, guys?
CT data.
Correct.
CT data.
C_T_ data. Okay. You have to say loop at C_data, assigning the field symbol. What is the field symbol? Sorry. ls, just press control space, ls data. Okay. So loop at CT data, assigning this, then end loop. Okay. Okay. Now inside the looping. So basically I am looping inside the CT data. Okay. Prior to this, prior to HANA version, this was not a best practice. Okay. You should not directly loop at the data because it is a performance hog. What we used to do was, we used to take all the data into an internal table from the table which we are referencing for the enhanced fields, and then from that internal table we used to loop on that internal table. But with HANA, that's no more mandatory. Okay, yeah, if you have records in billions and millions, yes, probably sometimes it is still relevant, but usually for smaller set of data, you can directly loop at CT data. Okay, because we are going to write the new ABAP on HANA syntax. When we write new ABAP on HANA syntax, the code is pushed down to HANA, and that's why it is okay, it is good enough. So we will directly loop at the table which has all the data already coming up from the base tables in the data source, extract structure format. So loop at CT data, we'll do a select from. So we will do a select from which table? Okay, we didn't discuss this. So name1 and land1, these are the data sources, right? This is the new fields we added in the append structure. But we should get this from some table. Now, what are these fields related to? These fields are related to customer. this is the customer country, and this is the customer name. So there must be a table in S4, a standard table, which will give me customer master data, because this is master data, right? What is the name of the customer? What is the country he or she belongs to or they belong to? So that is customer master data. So can someone tell me what is the table for customer master data in S4?
KNA1?
Yes, KNA1. So if you go there, let's look at KNA1. Okay. KNA, let me go to SE11. Okay, we'll go to KNA1 table. KNA1 is nothing but customer master. By the way, it will open, I think, in Eclipse editor. This is customer master, but just to give you the look and feel of the GUI, let's open it in GUI. Open with SAP GUI. Okay, now here also you can search. What you can do is you can say land 1. See, land 1 is there. Okay, KNA1.land1 is there, and land 1 is nothing but your country key. Okay, so you can find it either here, or you can go to that same SE11 look and feel and also do a find and do a land 1. Land 1 is your country key, and there's a name 1 also. Same thing you can find here also, name 1. Okay, there you go. So whatever you're comfortable with. So land 1 and name 1 are there in the customer master data KNA1 table. Now I have to pass something. There should be a common field between VBAK, which is my sales document header, which is my main table where my data source is getting the data from. I have to have a common field between VBAK and my KNA1 to pick up the land 1 and name 1. What is that common field?
Kunnar.
Customer number, Kunar. Kunar is my field which is there in my sales header also, and also in KNA1. So that's my common field. So now let's go back to the class. We'll say select from KNA1 as a fields a. What are we taking from KNA1? Land 1. Okay. Then name 1, where my a dot, no dot, sorry, Kunar, that is the common field. Okay, a dot Kunar equal to ls data will dash will come.
Yeah, Devanshu. Dash.
No, not dash, I think. No, I think you're right. Dash will come.
Yeah, hyphen. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Okay, select from KNA1 as a, where I'm taking fields of land 1, name 1, where Kunar is this, into, okay, into where? Into my ls data. ls data name 1, no sorry, land 1, and ls data name 1. Correct? Is that code correct?
Should it be an underscore and a hyphen in ls data?
Then select, I think. What is the problem? There is some problem. Yeah, sorry, you were saying something?
Bunch of the ls.
Oh, yeah. This is underscore, not hyphen. My bad. What is the problem, guys?
Take out the end select and put the full stop at the end of name 1.
Oh, okay. Where are you saying? Here?
Yes.
Are you sure? Maybe.
You close you open
No.
you open the bracket and close the bracket after the
Oh,
input.
brackets. I'm missing the brackets, right?
You can yes. You can take out the unselect.
Still, I have a problem. Why? Oh, okay. I cannot use. Yeah, you're right. I cannot use half-baked code. Yeah, I think it's fine, right? Yeah.
The unselect also is not required, I believe.
I think it's required, no?
It is absolute, right? Unselect.
I think you're right. Maybe unselect is not required. What's the problem? Incorrect nesting.
Yeah, okay.
No, I think it's required. Okay, so the code is now, this is a new syntax, guys, okay? So don't get alarmed that I have written into at the very end and from at the very beginning. That is the new ABAP on HANA syntax. The new ABAP on HANA syntax is, you first provide the name of the table. So select from the table and give the alias name. Then you provide fields with the fields keyword. So I'm saying with a tilde, okay? Now tilde will come. So this is the new ABAP on HANA syntax. Fields a tilde land1, a tilde name1, where my a cooler, this is a common field, equals to @. Now, as in new ABAP HANA syntax, every variable, okay, has to be prefixed with an @ to identify that this is a variable. And that's why I'm saying @ls data cooler. That means I'm looping here. I'm getting the ls data. So cooler is also as part of ls data now. I'm passing that to KNA1, getting land1 and name1 into what fields? Directly into the field symbol. What I mean by that is directly it will be assigned to CT data. So I don't need to have any temporary variable and then again put that back. When I'm using the field symbols, it's basically the pointer to that memory location. So I'm directly assigning that to CT data. So @this, and select and loop. Do a Control S to save it. And the hierarchy transform, you can leave it empty. We don't need any code. Okay. Control F2. Let me bring back the problems view. What did I do? Okay, this one we can leave it here. Any problems? No. Control F3 to activate.
So at any point of time, ls data.
Yeah, sorry, Satish, go ahead.
Yeah, at any point of time, ls underscore data will have only one record, right?
That's right, because you are looping, right? So one record at a time. You're right. But but one more thing. Wait. Hold on. Did I mention? Is it okay? Let me rephrase my question. Will this code run for header only or all data sources?
All.
Header only, I suppose.
Header only.
Okay, Satish is saying
Header only.
No, it will run for all data sources.
All.
Because you did not put any condition here. Because this value will trigger for anything, everything.
So I data source, I think you need to define like let it be the data source name.
I underscore data source is equal to, we have to define.
Okay, so people who said that it will run for all data sources, they are correct. So this code is not data source specific yet. I have not written any code which says run it for this data source only. What did I say? This baddie implementation will be checked for all data sources. All standard data source code will check for active implementation of baddie, and it will find this implementation. This is the implementation we are working with. Okay, and this GC RSU5, this is the implementation, and this implementation will be executed for every data source. If you are not specifically telling the code that check this for only header, don't go by the name. I can give any name to implementation. Don't think that just because I gave name here, in the implementation, it will only run for header. No, it will run for all data sources. Okay. So right now it is not a data source specific. The moment I add case statement. Okay, what is the case statement? What is the variable name which stores data source?
I data source.
Exactly. So you'll say case I data source when what is the, it is when only, right? Yeah, when. When it is 2ls 11 VAHDR.
HDR.
Okay. Okay. When it is 2ls 11 HDR, then you do all that and end case.
Okay.
Otherwise, you don't do. Then this code will only run for 2ls11 VHDR. But if I don't have this case statements, this is going to run for all data sources, but it's going to fail for other data sources. Why it's going to fail? Because the field symbol is of type header extract structure. Field symbol is not of a superset type. Okay, so when you will run this code without this case statements, if you remove this case statement, if you run this code for item, it will fail, but the code will definitely be attempted to run. So definitely the item will also see if there is an active implementation, it will come here, it will try to execute, but it will fail. Why it will fail? Because the fields in the extract structure of item will not match with the format of the header extract structure fields, and it will fail. But that does not mean that code will only run for header. Code will run for everything. Yeah, the moment you add the case statements, then you are saying that, okay, if item is there, don't do anything. Okay, because there is no, it will not go inside the case statement because there is only one when. If you could put another when for item, then it will go there. But right now, no. So Control F3. Test this out, guys. Okay, don't just believe what I'm saying. What you do is write the same code, remove the case statements, activate the item, and then try to enhance the item and then try to run it. If you see, you will see that it will basically come to this code and it will fail. But the code will definitely be attempted. Okay, so it's activated successfully. Excuse me. Now what we'll do is, we'll quickly fill the setup tables. Okay, so we'll say OLI 7BW. Okay, we'll give another name. Let's run it. It's done. Header. $110 data records. Why 110 data records?
We have already filled the setup tables. It's a duplicate, it seems.
No, we deleted the setup table. Oh, we did not delete it again. Yeah, you're right. Right. We have to delete it again. Yeah, we set it up after we did that enhancement. Yeah, correct. Okay, setup table deleted. Yeah, 55 looks good. And now the data is populated successfully. That means in the backend, the code is being run and the data is being populated for my country, which is US. Okay. and I think we have India also, India and US, and then I have the name of my particular customer. This is coming from KNA1. If you want to debug the code, you want to see how loop by loop it is happening. So what you can do is you have to set the breakpoints in your class. Okay. So you can set the breakpoints when it is this. So while double clicking on it, you can set the breakpoints. Okay. And then you can put a breakpoint on select. Oh, what's the problem? And then I think you can come to RSA3 and go to the header and click on debug mode. So when you click on debug mode, it will go to your particular breakpoint. It will stop there. Okay. Now it's asking me, do you want to open the debug perspective? Yes, I want to open because I'm in the debugging mode. So I'll switch to debug perspective. So perspective will change to debug here. So it's connected. And right now it's the system specific breakpoint. That means not my breakpoint. So you can press F8. F8 means jump from one breakpoint to another breakpoint. And there now it has the arrow is there on my particular breakpoint. And now I can see CT data, double click on CT data. You can see what is the data which is there in CT data. We have data divided into different sets. So 10 records. Record number 1, this is my record. This is my sales document number, my type, all those details for each. So it will be a set of 10. And you can also open data preview, the complete data preview, which will open in the data preview here. There you go. Right. So you can see in one shot, you can see all the data in CT data. And then what is our LS data land 1? So we'll click on that LS data land 1. So it's empty now, and name 1, it's empty now. Okay. So while we go now, it's an ABAP debugger. So you can go F5 also step by step. So if I click F5, it's going inside. Okay. So now name 1 has been populated and land 1 has been populated. So now it's going one, excuse me, one record at a time. So now again, if you press F5, again it will come to select. So it's going in the loop. And every time you see that for every loop, it's going to populate the name 1 and land 1. And finally, it will be completely populated for all the 55 records. So this is how you can debug your code. If there is a problem in the code, you can easily debug it, excuse me, by placing your breakpoint in the class and looking where the data issue is coming, if there is any data issue. So I'll stop the debugger. I'll terminate and remove.
Shikha, yeah.
One second, Shikha, one second. Okay, so with that, we will stop today's main class. Okay, and now we are entering the post Q&A session. Let me stop the recording for the main class.